Welcome back, nerds. Fino here. Lost Belt 6 is creeping ever closer, and if you want to know what you're up against, stick around, because there's more coming. Our first contestant is the hungry dog herself, the Melon Mountain. It's Fairy Knight Gawain. JP players may know her by a different name, but I'll hold back for the time being. She's a 4-star story-locked saber introduced in Avalon LaFay, and she's very big. I mean very big on tank and spank. Let's take a look. Fairy Knight Gawain's first skill is Numeral of the Saint. It's a 3-turn personal attack buff that also provides 3 turns of buster effectiveness when the sun's out. The whole sun buff eats the power budget on this one, so it's a bit underwhelming under typical circumstances. There are servants that can generate sunny terrain like regular Gawain, Summer Gareth, and Ozymandias, but as you'll soon see, you'd be giving up an awful lot to run her in weird, janky teams like that, so you're better off cutting your losses on the sun front. Next up is Wild Rule. It's a 3-turn buster buff that also grants an on-hit effect. This buff, A, heals 1k health on hit, B, removes the most recent buff on your target, and if this procs, C, applies a 3-turn defense debuff. Those first 2 effects help make Gawain an extremely potent soloist. In a Brave Chain, she'll get 4k health per turn while also suppressing her opponent. Because of the way the buff removal works, it can actually pay off to layer her Noble Phantasm behind face cards until you get rid of whatever invuln or evade is in your way. Rounding out Fairy Knight Gawain's skill set is Foul Weather. It's a 3-hit damage reduction effect for your frontline. It also puts a recurring end of turn buff on her that gives a 15% charge to your whole party. Before we get the Mighty Chain mechanics change, this is going to be the main way Gawain fills her bar. The damage reduction's small potatoes, but you just kinda have to deal with it. The 7-turn cooldown's excessive considering what you're getting, but that does just barely put it within Clay and Skya/Atlas range, meaning you can pop it on both turns 1 and 2 if you want to run that combo. And the Atlas uniform is what you want to run most of the time. Fairy Knight Gawain lacks hard mitigation, and she lives and dies by her cooldowns, so having the Atlas invuln/CDR combo is an absolute lifesaver. She's also screwed if she's stunned, so the cleanse is going to come in handy. If you want to take a more aggressive approach, Anniversary Blonde meets the backstab requirement with its guts while also providing a buster buff and star dump, so consider that if there's some damage check you're having trouble meeting. Let's move on to Fairy Knight Gawain's Noble Phantasm, Black Dog Galatine. It's an AoE buster attack that has a preemptive buster buff tied to overcharge. On top of this, it increases her max health by 3k, effectively a heal. It also gives her a single turn of cooldown reduction. The max health buff and cooldown reduction combo are what give Gawain an exploitable gimmick. Normally, she'd just have to sit there and eat damage while waiting for Wild Rule to come off cooldown, but if you can cycle her Noble Phantasm, you get access to high uptime on her toolkit and become this massive heal tank. Think Dr. Mundo, but hot. This face card-oriented skill set and durability mean that you're encouraged to run Fairy Knight Gawain solo. However, you'll find on release that getting charge on Gawain is a bit of a struggle, as you'd expect from someone with a triple buster deck and a 15% end of turn battery, but not much else. So jank is going to be the name of the game, and in all likelihood, you'll have to run her in a more typical defensive team with servants like Himiko, Merlin, or Mesh, and I think that's a waste. Okay, get this. Triple buster deck. Attack and buster steroids. She even has Mana's Enhancement A+. But despite this, you'll notice she's a bit of a potato when she actually gets around to hitting an opponent. You see, Gawain has some Kiyohime syndrome going on. Her buffs make it look like she should be erasing enemies off the board, but her base attack undoes a lot of that work. You see, you've got some tiers of 4-star attack saber stats. Saber Lily's at the bottom in her own circle of hell with a glorified 3-star stat line. Above is the Siegfried tier. That's a servant infamous for doing potato damage on anything that's not a dragon. Fairy Knight Gawain isn't quite that pigeonholed, but she's stuck in the rung just above Siegfried's. She's saddled with an attack stat that puts her in league with Chevalier Daon. Once you get Mighty Chains though, the equation changes a fair bit. BQ8 chains suddenly become value gold mines, and you have a much better chance of cycling Black Dog Galatine on the regular, and hitting that survivability tipping point to make solos practical. In that situation, you'd sit on your Buster Brave Chains for turns where you have a ton of crit stars, or need to finish off a break bar. Something like that. With those max health buffs, Gawain has the potential to face tank Lancer or even neutral Noble Phantasms, and then top up with face card procs. To improve her odds, you can leverage some tools. Craft essence-wise, heal lamps increase your returns on Wild Rule, so they give you quite a bit of value. Better yet, you get 2 of the best ones for free this year. Maiden Halloween is the ultimate heal lamp, and it's coming back with the Halloween Trilogy event. There's also Like a Lady, which trades some healing for NP gain and starting charge. That'll be coming this Christmas. But if you absolutely need something before Halloween, you can slum it up with Afolia, which gives a heal lamp and buster performance. Might be the only time it's ever been useful. Aerial Drive stands out as the aggressive pick since it gives NP damage for that multiplicative bonus, but I'd be careful about using it. Remember that Gawain's strength is in survivability, not damage. If you're forced to use a full team, consider meming with Ideal Holy King. It gives party-wide max health, and if you expect your enemy to scythe down the rest of your team anyway, it's free durability. The last of our practical options is Illusionary Confessional, which provides anti-mail defense and increased NP gain from being hit, which is a powerful combo for Gawain in fights where it's relevant. I'll note Fairy Knight Gawain also has a strange bond CE. It increases her NP damage, but it also has an on-hit chance to increase your max health for 3 turns. The amount is only 500, so it's not really worth messing with, but imagine if the buff were bigger. Or permanent. God, that'd be a cool meme. Command code-wise, Gawain is well equipped to exploit them, given her reliance on face cards. And there are some powerful effects that can sway the healing more in your favor. First are the cleanse codes like White Vessel's Command Seal. These will remove damage over time effects and defense reduction debuffs in fights where you have to worry about those. Mirror of Eight Leaves likewise plays a big role in fights where you have to worry about getting stunned, while Eternity Mirror excels in fights where you have to contend with skill or card seals. Once you deal with any fight-specific debuffs, look towards the heal amps and raw healing options like Good Wife Wise Fox and Maiden of Orleans. Holy Shroud of Lovers came out in the Karen Valentine's event, and in fights where you specifically deal with defense debuffs, it'll take care of those on top of a small heal. Finally, Star Absorption and Flat Star codes can help you out in fights where you have enough wiggle room to play aggressively. Eventually, we'll get Lady Justice in the Britomart event, which gives a decent amount of Star Absorption along with a few stars on hit. Also, Gawain is one of the few servants that can make decent use out of BB slots, with both the Flat Star and Healing effect playing nicely with her kit. The debuff resistance is more niche, but it also synergizes with her innate passives. Fairy Knight Gawain's Append Suite is going to be quite useful with the extra card bonus playing into her solo playstyle, while the Magical Energy Append gets her off to a faster start in terms of cycling Black Dog Galatine. The odd man out is her anti-class append, which targets alter egos. This is a lot less useful. While alter egos do reduce damage to Knight class servants, they're rare opponents. The one alter ego I can think of where you really desperately want to remove their buffs is King Protea, but last I checked, all the major King Protea fights in this game make her health stacks unremovable. I don't know, maybe Bazette? I forget if her counter is something you can actually purge, so don't quote me on that. Either way, you should keep your coins and do this one last. For some miscellaneous synergies, Summer BB can buy extra time for Gawain's cooldowns with her charge drain. Also gives stars and face card chains. Arquade gives buff removal resistance to good aligned allies. Party charge too. Gawain's Sky of Light is especially good if you're going for a solo and just need them to give you burst damage before getting wiped off the board. Gawain's Sky of Darkness gives buffs to animal trade allies, which applies to Fairy Knight Gawain. And speaking of Koyan Dark, Gawain is a demonic beast servant, so she'll do extra damage against Beast Vich. Combined with her durability, this makes her one of the better options for soloing those particular fights. It's also worth noting that Fairy Knight Gawain is treated as a roundtable servant in her first ascension only. The only servant right now with any interaction there is Morgan, so if you try to fight her with Gawain, you might benefit from swapping to a different ascension to deny her bonus damage. Then again, getting directly hit with a Morgan NP is a death sentence anyway, so it's not all that important. Would I recommend Fairy Knight Gawain? She has a niche, excelling in solo fights and Grailfront, but she demands a lot of skill investment and patience to use. She's not a power pick in and of herself, but I suppose that doesn't matter when she keeps appearing on the same banners as Morgan and Oberon, who are servants you'd want to roll on anyway, so odds are you'll pick one up along the way. As an absolute last resort, she's on a future 4-star pick ticket, though that one also includes very useful options like Nitocris, Canis, and Percival, so you may want to fish early and free it up for one of those. But strictly speaking on her own merits, I do wish they'd give Fairy Knight Gawain a buff. Her NP could use a strengthening, or maybe she could have a King Protea style NP damage reduction, to reward you for staying in the fight. In the meantime, enthusiasts should consider some Grails and foes to buoy her lackluster damage and double down on her sizable health pool. Thanks for watching, stick around for more FGO guides, and if you're around this weekend, I stream from Friday through Sunday at 3 PM Pacific Time, twitch.tv/Finotaisen. Stop on by and get ready to engage in some serious memery. I'll see you there.